Daffodils are blooming, and that means it's time to plant beets, carrots, and chard. The peas we planted 3 weeks ago are just starting to poke up after being snowed on at least twice. The radishes and spinach are up also. Beets like sweet soil, so you can scatter a dusting of wood ashes over the bed before planting to raise the pH. Don't plant them where you've had chard or spinach planted before. It's always important to rotate your plantings by crop family. So like cabbage and broccoli and Brussels sprouts are in the same family. Potatoes, tomatoes, and peppers are in the same family. If you don't rotate your plantings and you plant the same thing in the same spot every year, you're going to deplete the soil of the same nutrients, and also the pests and diseases that enjoy that one family have a chance to build up. So it's important to make and keep a plan of your garden every year so that you know what you planted where, and that way you can successfully rotate your crops. So today we're doing beets. One of the healthiest things that you can grow. A lot of people don't like beets or chard. And if you don't like red beets, you should try golden beets. And there's even a white beet. They're much sweeter and they don't have that real earthy flavor that a red beet has. The chard comes in many different colors too, other than just green. There's chard that has yellow and orange and red stalks, so it's very colorful. Ready to go. The seeds are actually, each seed is actually a cluster of 2 to 3 seeds. So that's why you can plant one beet seed and end up with 3 plants. But you're going to have to thin them. Even if you've planted them, space the seeds out at 3 inches apart, you're still going to have to thin them because there'll be more than one coming up where each seed is. So if you're really a neat gardener, you can use string and sticks to make nice straight furrows, but I just never do that. So we're going to plant these a 1/2 inch deep, about 2 inches apart. And we're only going to cover them with a 1/2 inch of soil, which is nice and wet because we've had a lot of rain. And the most important thing is to tamp it down really well because they're not going to germinate if they're not making good contact with the soil. They'll germinate in 5 to 10 days in 50-degree soil, which this is even warmer than that. And after they're up, then you want to thin them to about 4 inches apart so that they have room to make a nice beet. You can keep planting them every 2 to 3 weeks so that you'll have beets all summer long and into the fall. They're very hardy, so they can take some frost, some light frost in the fall. So carrots are similar. Carrots also come in a wide range of colors. They're not just orange. You can also get purple and yellow and white carrots. They're all very lovely and delicious. You haven't lived until you've had a homegrown carrot. The important thing with carrots is to dig down and make sure you get all of the rocks and any clay soil out of the way, because that will make your carrots be forked or go at right angles. And if you want a nice long straight carrot, you're going to have nice fluffy soil very deep down. So they prefer it loose and sandy, not very rich. In fact, if your soil is too rich, you'll grow lots of green fluffy tops, but you won't have much in the way of carrots. So you want to stay away from high nitrogen fertilizers. You want to have, if you need to fertilize, you want to have it be something with high potassium and high phosphorus. So you can use rock phosphate or bone meal for your phosphorus, and wood ashes again for your potassium. And some compost before you plant, and at mid-season also will help your growth of your carrots. We're going to plant these guys a little more shallowly than we did the beets. These we're only going to plant 1/4 of an inch deep. And these seeds are very tiny. So this is really tedious to plant. And sometimes you can get what's called seed tape, and somebody has spaced out little clumps of the seed at intervals for you. So it's what I'm going to do is plant a little clump of them every inch or so. A little clump of seeds. And it's, if you overplant, it just means you're going to have to thin them a lot. Can you see that? Can they see this? Okay, so we're only going to cover them 1/4 of an inch. And sometimes, if your soil tends to be crusty, it's good to use vermiculite instead of your soil to keep it from crusting over, because these little carrots come up there like a little hair at first, so it's hard for them to break through a crusty surface. Some people put damp burlap over the bed to keep it moist and to keep it from crusting over. That's the hardest thing, is keeping the bed moist and keeping it from crusting until they emerge, because they're very slow to germinate. It can take 2 to 3 weeks for the carrots to come up. So some people, to mark the row so they don't forget where they planted it, will mix in a few radish seeds, because the radishes pop up much quicker. As they're growing, the carrots sometimes push out of the soil, and they're going to have like a green shoulder. You want to sort of cover a little soil over that so that doesn't happen, because that green shoulder can be bitter. So I just want you to forget about watching the news on TV if it's stressing you out, and to get out into your garden as often as you can, because you'll find it to be very therapeutic. So keep calm and plant something.